Yo people! A little analysis of Group B of this upcoming World Cup featuring Brazil, Serbia, Switzerland and the Cameroon. Brazil should be favourites to top the group, and taking a look at their squad, they do have a fine blend of youth and experience, with the experienced players obviously having a great deal of experience. In addition to the captain Thiago Silva, they've got Neymar and Dani Alves with over 120 caps each. Neymar should be, of course, leading the front line along with Richarlison. I don't think Dani Alves will be starting, but he could be brought on for a substitute appearance. And with the likes of Casemiro and Fred from Manchester United, along with Paqueta and certainly some others, the midfield also looks to be quite experienced, although there are only 6 midfielders in comparison to 9 forwards. Certainly top-heavy, but the extensive experience the squad has of playing in Europe will quite help them. And of course, the climate in Qatar should certainly suit Brazil, who are used to heat and a bit of humidity. They should be expected to top the group quite comfortably, and I certainly think that they will go on to reach the quarterfinals comfortably, and the semi-finals could be a toss-up, but they should be there or thereabouts. Never count out the Seleção. That's my advice. Now we come to Serbia, one of the 2 European teams in the group. And interestingly, in stark contrast to Brazil, they selected only 3 forwards, of which Alexander Mitrovic, their vice-captain, is one of them, with 50 goals to his name. And in contrast, they have 13 midfielders and about 7 defenders, so definitely very light at the top. I would expect Serbia to play a 4-5-1 formation with Mitrovic the lone striker, which is probably why they've only opted for 3. But it is going to be a very big risk, especially if one of those 3 players, those 3 strikers, gets injured. Another decent selection of the squad based on youth and experience, certainly no controversial admissions. Under Dusan Tadic, who is the most capped player, they're expected to provide stiff opposition to Brazil and Switzerland, and certainly should be more than a match for the Cameroon. So I would expect Serbia to do as well as they can, but I don't think they have enough in terms of quality. Obviously, Sergej Milinkovic-Savic is one name to remember because he was an Arsenal target. Tadic and Mitrovic, of course. But it looks as though they could be quite light in defence, and that could be a weakness for them. I would expect them to finish 3rd in the group. I don't think they will beat Brazil or Switzerland, but they should give a tough fight. And they should be able to beat Cameroon as well. So 3rd place for me, for Serbia. Now we come to Switzerland. I expect them to finish 2nd in the group because they should defeat Serbia and Cameroon quite easily. Obviously, they didn't really have the best of games against Ghana, but I'm sure they will find their stride. And with the likes of Xherdan Shaqiri, Granit Xhaka and others in their lineup, along with Ricardo Rodriguez, their experienced defender, and of course Jan Sommer, their first-choice goalkeeper, they should be more than a match for the other 2 teams in the group, and they could give Brazil a good game themselves. You just never know. They've selected about 11 midfielders in their squad and 5 strikers, so not too much of an emphasis on the forward line as such, although Haris Seferovic could have something to say about that. They certainly should have a mastery of how to play against their European opponents, but they could potentially struggle in the humid conditions unless they have enough training having been done while they're in Qatar. But I can't look beyond them finishing 2nd in the group, and they should certainly qualify and definitely make it to the quarterfinals themselves. Of late, they've done very well in tournament play, and I expect nothing less from them. They've selected 4 goalkeepers, which is a bit of a surprise, but I certainly don't think either the 3rd or 4th will play. Could have gone to an extra outfielder, but it is what it is. I predict that Switzerland will be 2nd in the group, and they could go quite far. We'll see what happens. Now to the Cameroon. I'm expecting them to finish dead last. I certainly don't see them offering that much in terms of resistance, especially considering their recent record in World Cup play. A far cry from the days of 1982 and 1990, when they certainly impressed the world. Apart from Vincent Aboubakar, Eric Choupo-Moting and Andre Onana, I can't see too many players really lighting up the tournament. Brian Mbeumo is a surprise inclusion. Of course, he's been playing for Brentford. And there have been a couple of experienced names that have been dropped from the squad, which would have added a lot more in terms of experience. But obviously, Rigobert Song has opted for form in many cases. So it'll be hard to see. And ironically, this team could do quite well in the Qatar climate. But I certainly don't expect them, in terms of ability and firepower, to pose much of a threat to the other three teams in the group. So I expect them to finish fourth and not really do very much, but maybe if they can claim a win, a shock win perhaps, it'll be enough for them to say that they've had a more than decent tournament. It might give them confidence in terms of qualifying for the next one. So those are my 4 teams, the analysis. Once again, subscribe to Hanno's Coach Corner. Click the like button and like all of his videos, and I'll catch you all soon. Cheers.